I will tell you something about the stories. They aren't just for entertainment. Don't be fooled. They are all we have, you see. All we have to fight off illness and death. You don't have anything if you don't have the stories.
Native Americans do not regard their spirituality as a separate entity they follow like Western religions do, such as Christianity. Instead, their spiritual beliefs and practices are an integral aspect integrated into their everyday life. There are numerous Native American tribes, so there are many Indian stories different from each other. However, among the various stories, there are still similar themes. Common with Native Americans are stories about the creation of life. These stories often consist of a high deity responsible for creating humans and a supernatural animal. The first myth we show is from the Okanogan Nation, that are initially from the Pacific Northwest. Their creation stories includes a deity that molds a world out of clay, which is a usual concept in Indian spirituality. A specific and important figure to them is the coyote, who is normally good-natured in their stories, which differs from other Native American myths that usually has the coyote as a trickster. The second myth we show is from the Osage Nation, that are originally from the Ohio River Valley, but due to migration they currently live in Oklahoma. Their creation stories involves an earth diver, who is a frequent character in Indian spirituality. An earth diver is a figure who uses soil from the depths of the water to create earth. An important factor of Native American stories is nature, which is a reflection of their respect and bond with the natural environment. Their stories are orally passed down from generation to generation as explanations to universal questions. The following stories are an example of this.
The earth was once a human being. Old One made her out of a woman.
You will be the mother of all people,
he said. Earth is alive yet, but she has been changed. The soil is her flesh. The rocks are her bones. The wind is her breath. Trees and grass are her hair. She lives spread out, and we live on her. When she moves, we have an earthquake. After taking the woman and changing her to earth, Old One gathered some of her flesh and rolled it into balls as people do with mud or clay. He made the first group of these balls into the ancients, the beings of the early world. The ancients were people, yet also animals. In form, some looked human while some walked on all four like animals. Some could fly like birds. Others could swim like fishes. All had the gift of speech, as well as greater powers and cunning than either animals or people. Old One made the people out of the last balls of mud he took from the earth. He rolled them over and over, shaped them like Indians, and blew on them to bring them alive. Old One made people and animals into males and females, so that they might breed and multiply. The difficulty with the earth world was that most of the ancients were selfish, and some were monsters, and there was much trouble among them. They were also very stupid in some ways. Though they knew they had to hunt in order to live, they did not know which creatures were deer and which were people, and sometimes they ate people by mistake.
At last,
Old One said,
There will soon be no people if I let things go on like this.
So he sent Coyote to kill all the monsters and other evil beings among the ancients and teach the Indians how to do things. And Coyote began to travel on the earth, teaching the Indians, making life easier and better for them, and performing many wonderful deeds.
Way beyond the earth, a part of the Osage lived in the sky. They wanted to know where they came from, so they went to the sun. He told them that they were his children. Then they wandered still farther and came to the moon. She told them that she gave birth to them, and that the sun was their father. She said that they must leave the sky and go down to live on earth. They obeyed, but found that the earth was covered with water. They could not return to their home in the sky, so they wept and called out, but no answer came from anywhere. They floated about the air, seeking in every direction for help from some god, but found none. The animals were with them, and of these the elk inspired all creatures with confidence, because he was the finest and most stately. The Osage appealed to the elk for help, and he dropped into the water and began to sink. Then he called to the winds, and they came from all quarters. And blew until the waters went upward in mist. At first, only rocks were exposed, and the people traveled on the rocky places that produced no plants to eat. Then the waters began to go down until the soft earth was exposed. When this happened, the elk in his joy rolled over and over, and all his loose hairs clung to the soil. The hairs grew, and from them sprang beans, corn, potatoes, and wild turnips, and then all the grasses and trees.